how's it going today? This is Jim Prusak. I'm a physical therapist at the Pain PT. And today we're going to talk about this word okay again. It's one of my favorite words in the language. And we're going to talk about becoming okay by being okay. The title of today is Becoming Okay by Being Okay. And we're going to go over 10 things here today that I want you guys to be okay with that are going to help you to become okay. And one of the things I like to say here, and I tell people, is you become okay when you can be okay with what you think is not okay. I'll say it again. You become okay in your body when you can be okay in your mind with what you think is not okay. All right, so let's go through the list here of the 10 things I want you guys to start being okay with. The first thing and the most important thing is believing and perceiving your symptoms are okay and that your condition is okay. Meaning it's not a structural issue. This is a brain and nervous system driven condition, a signaling condition. And what this does, this first one, is basically not catastrophizing. Okay, so it's believing and perceiving that your symptoms and your condition is okay. It's not what you think. Okay, it's a brain and nervous system signaling issue, which is basically benign. It's not dangerous like a structural issue where you need to pull back or an acute injury. Okay, so we want to understand and believe and perceive this. This helps us to stop catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is negative thinking. It's highly linked with chronic pain. So we need to stop doing that to become okay. All right, so we got to be okay. We got to believe and perceive. Number one thing is believe and perceive that your symptoms are okay. Their condition's okay. It's not a problem. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing you want to be okay with is not treating, fixing, stopping your symptoms or your condition, okay? Because number one, we're perceiving that and believing that your symptoms are okay. This is a paradigm shift. We are moving from the front of my hand to the back of my hand. Okay, it's the same hand, but we're totally switching how we think about it. Okay, so if we go from here's a problem in step one, now there isn't, it's okay. Number two is that because the symptoms are okay, we don't want to be trying to treat them, fix them, stop them. Okay, because it's not a problem in the first place. So this is the paradigm shift, is that we need to come from the premise that you are okay. And from that foundation, these other things fall in place. Okay, so number two is that it's being okay with not treating, fixing, stopping your condition or symptoms, but instead letting and allowing your symptoms and sensations and feelings to fade away on their own, which is what the nervous system will do for you. Okay, this is basically surrender and what we call outcome independence. We're independent of the outcome because we know it's okay. There's nothing for us to fix in the first place. Okay, number three is being okay with not over-focusing on, watching, monitoring, or over-analyzing your symptoms and sensations. Okay, again, being okay with not over-focusing on, that's paying too much attention to, or over-monitoring or looking at or over-analyzing your symptoms and sensations. Okay, so what we're talking about here is that we're not being hypervigilant. Okay, we're not being overly focused on the symptoms because why? Go back to number one, it's not a problem. They are okay. And if they're okay, why would we want to over-focus on them and become vigilant of them? That's another thing that keeps the symptoms chronic, is hypervigilance. Same as catastrophizing. Same as trying to make your symptoms go away. That leads to more pressure and frustration. Okay, so already the first three, I'm asking you guys to be okay with these things. Now, number four is being okay with getting in touch with your emotions, being okay with your anxiety or depression. All right, that's a big one. A lot of people are not okay with their anxiety or depression, but I want you to mentally be okay with them because that is what allows it to shift. Same thing with getting in touch with your emotions. You want to be okay and open with your emotions. You want to have emotional awareness. So we're talking about emotional awareness. We're talking about affect labeling. We're talking about acceptance of these things. Okay, so we want to be okay with becoming more emotionally aware, because we know the amygdala is part of the issue here with chronic symptoms, and that's the emotional center of the brain. Okay, we also don't want to fight our anxiety. We don't want to flee it. We don't want to freeze it. Same thing with depression. We just want to accept these things and, again, allow that to move through us. It's okay. It's also okay. Anxiety and depression are okay. We need to get your mind thinking that way. Okay, number 5 is being okay with physically returning to the activities you have avoided doing because of your symptoms, worry, anxiety, or concern. Again, being okay with physically returning to the activities you have been avoiding doing because of your symptoms, because of your worry, your anxiety, or concern that you'll hurt something or you'll make it worse. Now, what is this addressing? Fear avoidance. Okay, another one of the things that we know keeps people in chronic pain is fear avoidance. So you have to be okay with going back to doing everything again. Now, you can do this gradually. You can do it normally and just get back as if a normal person was going back to an exercise program or something like that, because with chronic conditions, it's not acute pain. It's not even subacute pain where we need to go slowly, in theory. Now, you may want to go slowly because of the reaction you could get from the fear avoidance pattern, which could be a reaction of symptoms. Okay, now that leads us to number 6, okay, is that we need to be okay with any symptom flare-ups or reactions because they're part of the healing journey as you move forward in becoming okay. Again, number 6, being okay with any symptom flare-ups and reactions because they're a part of your healing journey. It's normal. We see it in everybody. And you got to get through this. You got to be okay with these things so you can move forward in becoming okay. Now, again, all these things so far, when you're being okay with them, they allow you to become okay. Okay, you become this. And what we're speaking of here, number 6, is this what we call window of tolerance. Okay, it's been talked about a lot in psychological terms. We need to have a larger window to tolerate the symptom flare-ups and reactions, and to know we're still okay when we're going through that. That is one of the biggest things I think people need to work with more, and that trips them up. The reaction is not the problem. It's your resistance to it or not being okay with it. That's the problem. Okay, so it's a window of tolerance. Okay, number 7 is being okay with any present day stressors and triggers you deal with on a daily basis. Okay, being okay with any present day stressors or triggers that you deal with on a daily basis. And what we need to do here, this is called reframing. Okay, we need to reframe our stressors and triggers in our life so that they become less so. They become smaller. We need to minimize them, not magnify them. That's called reframing. Okay, again, it's our perception, how you look at these things. So we're trying to reframe things that trigger us and bother us on a day-to-day basis or stress us out, and reframe them so that they don't stress us out as much, because then we have less we have to deal with on the back end. Okay, so this is the front end strategy. Again, being okay with any present day stressors and triggers, number 7. Number 8, being okay with your past hurts. And this is talking about your traumas, your parents, your upbringing, things that happened to you in the past. Okay, being okay with your past hurts, traumas, parents, family, upbringing, things that happened to you, okay, in the past, that are now just memories in your brain, but these memories have the power to affect you currently, right now in the present moment. Now, what we're speaking up here, number 8, is forgiveness. We're trying to come to a place of forgiveness around all the things that happened to us in the past that are still affecting us now in our mind, that when we think about them, they really bother us. Either we get angry, we feel resentment, or we feel scared, or we don't want to look at them. So we need to make peace with these things. Being okay with all this stuff also means making peace with them in your brain so that they don't affect you as much now. Okay, so that's number 8. It's being okay with your past hurts. That's forgiveness. Okay, we got 2 more. Number 9, being okay with your own personality traits and your patterns. Okay, being okay with your own personality traits and your patterns. What we're talking about here is these personality traits that put pressure on your system or put stress into your system. These things are like perfectionism, people-pleasing, goodism, trying too hard, overdoing it, becoming too conscientious, too caring. Okay, those are your personality traits that put more pressure on your system or add more stress to your system and can also continue to drive your symptoms. So we want to be okay with that. That's the first step, is that we develop what's called self-awareness so we can see these traits coming out, okay, and then we can accept them. That's the first thing, because when we accept that we have these traits, we soften them, because people want to fight against their personality traits or get upset they have them. That's actually making it worse. So we need to be okay with these things. They're just a part of who we are. It's okay. That's the first step to changing them, okay? And then we can step out of them. So once we become aware of them and we accept them for what they are, it's not a big deal. We have the ability or choice to step out of them, to do something different. I call that stepping out of the loop, which I did a video on. Okay, so this also includes being okay with your patterns of thought. These are all your conditioning patterns. These are your habits. These are the things that you do that might not be serving you so well anymore, or maybe adding stress to your system, to your body, keeping your symptoms alive. Okay, so we want to be okay with these things. Be okay with your personality traits and your patterns. Again, this is self-awareness, acceptance, and then stepping out of the loop. Okay, the final thing here, number 10, is being okay with not beating yourself up. Being self-critical, feeling like you're not good enough, not worthy, thinking it's your fault, etc. Okay, so being okay with not beating yourself, being okay with this being self-critical, feeling not good enough, not worthy, thinking it's your fault. We need to be okay with these things first, okay? We don't want to fight against them. We can't beat them back. We can't push them down. That's just adding more pressure and stress to your system. So we need to accept these things. Again, being okay is accepting them, being all right with them, because again, it's a part of your system, a part of your pattern, but it's okay. And when you see it as being okay, remember, it becomes okay. All these things, all these 10 things, when you can be okay with them, they actually become okay in your brain and body. This is the key thing here. Okay, so what we're talking about here in number 10 is self-compassion. That we want to give self-compassion to our patterns here, to being critical and punching ourselves in the face, beating ourselves up, not thinking we're good enough, worthy enough, and it's our fault, blaming ourselves. Okay, we need to be compassionate to ourselves. This is being okay with it. So these 10 things that I'm asking you to be okay with, again, I'll remind you, when you become okay with these things, okay, when you become okay with these things, you be okay with these things, they become okay in your brain and body. Okay, so again, you become okay when you can be okay with what you think is not okay. You become okay when you can be okay with what you think is not okay. All right, guys, let's see if you can put these into your practice. It's a very simple word. It's 2 letters, okay. And just notice when you're not being okay. That's probably an easier way to notice these things, when you're resisting and fighting against the reality of what is. All right, take care, guys. Talk to you next time.